To Kaylee Sawyer. I'm a lifelong resident of Bend, Oregon, father of 3, and an owner of 2 successful businesses in our town. This is the last place I ever would have wanted to be speaking under the circumstances. I'm here to represent a beautiful, intelligent young lady to be her voice today. The young lady I speak of is our daughter, Kaylee Sawyer. When Kaylee was born and ever since, I experienced what unconditional love actually means. The love is beyond comprehensive depths. My life would gladly never be the same. I would have moved the moon and the stars for her. My purpose and joy in life was being her father, teaching her, protecting her. She was my little blondie growing up. Later in life, I would get a spark of joy every time I would see her number pop up on my phone. To get a hug from her, to smell her hair, kiss her soft cheek, melted my heart. She gave me 3 significant intangible assets that are dear to me, and I will try to do the best and live out and honor her by. She admired and respected our generosity, forgiveness, and much to my satisfaction, frequently told her boyfriend and others that my dad can do anything. This generally happened when she needed help with something mechanical and promptly told her boyfriend he didn't know what he was doing. Kaylee made everyone feel better when she was around. Her love of life was infectious. Her smile, bigger than life. Her laugh and giggle so unique, I can hear it in my head. I could watch a video of her over and over just to hear her voice. The way she said "Dad" could only come from her. She had such a variety of friends and loved everyone just where they were in life. I heard from so many people, she made them feel special and was the center of her attention. She was the glue that held so many of us together, and without that, has become very apparent in many relationships. The positive influence she had over her brothers was profound. And whether she wanted it or not, Kaylee held the spotlight in the family her whole life. A young lady that endured the hardship of a terrible long-term divorce, but came out the other side a compassionate, deeply loving personality. She fiercely loved her family. If you spoke poorly of any family member, she would not tolerate it. Her wit and sarcasm was fantastic and hard to compete with. She had one of the most unique and adaptable personalities that I have ever met. She was meant for greatness. On July 24, 2016, the idea of Bend, Oregon being a quaint, innocent little town was shattered and a family forever broken in disbelief from a living nightmare. Out of respect for Kaylee, I will not refer to the other individual in the story by name. Kaylee was walking down the sidewalk, not far from the apartment complex where she lived, next to our community college campus around 1 a.m. An argument with her boyfriend prompted the walk, still wearing her dress and high heels from the bachelorette party attended earlier downtown. A car pulled up behind her. It was apparently a law enforcement vehicle by the markings in the lights. An individual in uniform approached her asking if she wanted to ride. After some persuasion, he put her in the back seat. As they started to drive, this individual noticed the young lady was intoxicated and proceeded to ask for sexual favors. She declined forcefully. The individual got more aggravated, demanding that she give him her purse and phone. Kayla started panicking and handed the man her belongings through the plexiglass cage dividing the front and rear seats. She started screaming for help and tried to open the doors. However, the child locks and plexiglass cage had her trapped. The uniformed person proceeded to drive to a secluded location on the college campus that he knew was poorly lit and had no cameras. The individual got out of the car while Kaylee flailed through the cage trying to reach a light switch, a horn, or anything to draw attention. The uniformed person opened up the rear SUV door, fought with Kaylee. She fought fiercely, but with little effect against the bulletproof vest he was wearing and the fact he was trained for physical defense and outweighed her by 70 pounds. The signs of how hard she fought were seen all over her body in the autopsy. She screamed till he managed to choke her into unconsciousness. He then began to drag her off into the bushes. Kaylee became conscious again and again began screaming. This time, the uniformed person choked her unconscious and hit her in the head with a rock, fracturing her skull. While she was still breathing, the uniformed person proceeded to rape her. When done, he took a bigger rock and smashed her beautiful smile and face, the picture you see in front of you. The police later described her as being unrecognizable. That word will haunt me for the rest of my life. The individual left the body and drove his security vehicle back to the campus security station. He cleaned up, then drove his regular car back to the crime scene and put the body in the trunk. On his way back home, the individual threw Kaylee's body on the side of the road next to a house about 20 miles from the crime scene. A day later, the individual panicked, fearing somebody would find the body, loaded her back into the trunk of the car, and drove another 10 miles to another location and threw her body off the side of a highway embankment, disrespecting her for the last time. After this murder and over a 2-day period, this individual drove to Salem, kidnapped 19-year-old Andrea Mays using his security-issued handcuffs and police-issued pistol he took from his wife. He stole Andrea's car and drove to California, shooting an elderly man and kidnapping another family after Andrea's car broke down. After a high-speed chase, the individual was caught and hauled back to Oregon to face his crimes. He was convicted of aggravated murder and burglary and is now serving a life sentence. The other victims are waiting to this day for the murderer to be sentenced for the additional crimes committed in Oregon and Washington 2.5 years ago. Kaylee was 23 when she was brutally murdered. She would be 25 now. I never saw my daughter's body again, as the officers advised it would be unwise to see her. So all I know and have since the last time I saw her is what I've been told happened in a box with my daughter's ashes. My mind still can't comprehend the incomprehensible. I still feel she's going to walk through that door with her big smile and goofy laugh at any minute. She brought sunshine to every room she entered. This event ripped through thousands of people's lives. It left my wife and me in such a state of despair, anger, and anxiety that we couldn't leave the house or workplace without having a panic attack for months. Every holiday, every birthday is a depressing reminder of who's missing and what we have to live without the rest of our lives. The hope and joy that I had in my daughter is now missing and has left a hole so large in me that I have to walk around every day in fear for falling in. The pain is so unbearable at times it still takes my breath away. The murder has fractured the relationships of our whole family and left us feeling very alone. This has left me feeling inadequate to be the best dad to my boys and husband to my wife. I feel there's so much less of me, and what's broken can't be fixed. The most infuriating part of this story came later as I discovered how preventable this murder should have been. In fact, it should have been impossible for this individual to commit these crimes if proper policies and procedures had been in place, policies and procedures that had been in question by our chief of police for years before this murder even occurred. But the governing powers over the college campus security program ignored the warnings of the chief and the local DA. Now we get to my next purpose in life: to honor my daughter and to help others so these events can't be played out again by another violent individual. Campus security officers are entrusted to keep our most valuable assets safe, our children. This college failed our daughter and put a sociopathic individual in a trusted position with little safeguards to assure his behavior on the job was appropriate. People with violent tendencies and sociopaths, correctly termed antisocial personality disorders, can be hard to pick out, but with proper hiring practices for these positions of great trust, they should be easier to identify. And if one does slip through the cracks, there should be policies and procedures keeping the criminally minded from acting out their violent intentions. That is why, with much help, I proposed Kaylee's Law, a bill that is intended to fill in the gray areas of our loose statutes surrounding college campus security operations. I implore you to look into and support this bill, and as you read it, the details of Kaylee Sawyer should speak sense and truth to what's written in it. One final point I'd like to make before closing. You might be asking, why are we looking to change law for one random incident, terrible as it may be? Well, the facts of this case show that if it was not Kaylee, it was going to be someone at some point. Do any of you have a daughter or son attending a college in Oregon? Let that sink in. This is not a lightning strike. This individual was going to act out his violent intentions on someone eventually. and then someone else if he got away with it, and maybe he did, and we don't even know it. When these facts dawned on me, I was furious that the college did not immediately cease and desist operations until they could properly vet personnel and evaluate their policies and procedures. How could they possibly know if there was not another person with those personality traits in their midst? In fact, how could any of the colleges in Oregon, after this, not be asking the same questions? To my knowledge, our local college, COCC, has ignored most of the facts in this case and done little to address the obvious changes needed in light of Kaylee's horrendous murder. Please hear Kaylee's voice in this story and the need for change. I thank you for your time.